We were there one night and watching a movie on the #1 hatch, and these planes came over at night. We looked up, all these planes over there, we give them the devil for drowning out our sound. We couldn't hear what was going on. Should have known something was wrong. There was no recognition lights on them or nothing. Pretty soon the kamikazes started diving. They were hitting all around us. But anyhow, they missed us, thank goodness. I was born on November the 22nd, 1918, in Kansas City, Missouri. I graduated from high school in '37, see, and the war broke out on December 7th, '41. I was drafted June the 30th, 6 months before Pearl Harbor. And I went up to Leavenworth, went through all the physicals, and everything was fine. And the last doctor I came to, he okayed everything, and I was walking out naked, of course. And he said, "Hey, come back here." I went back. He said, "How about those feet?" And I said, "Well, I guess you see they're flat. They body." And I said, "Well, I walked on them for 22 years. I don't know what they do if you put a pack on my back and start me across country. Walk out there again." So I did. Came back and he wrote reject right across my papers. So I was back in town that night. And then we got on a train. I got on a train with my folks. We went to Colorado for a vacation. And coming back on the train, I think there was 1,000 soldiers on there. And I think 999 asked why I wasn't in the service. Got up the next morning and I went down to Fairfax, Kansas, down in the Fairfax district, and enlisted in the Navy. I knew the guy that was recruiting down there. He and I went to grade school and high school together. I said, "Bill, do you think I could get in the Navy?" "Well, no," he said, "I know you're 4F. And I said, "Well, let's try it." Went through all the physicals there. Passed that, so they swore me in. So I went to San Diego and was in the receiving station there. I got a call from the folks, and they said they were coming out. And I said, "Well, don't come out here. I may be gone tomorrow." "Well, we're coming." "Well, I can't stop you." So they came out, and I was still there. They had the bridge over to Coronado. There was ferries running back and forth. So we got on a ferry, and that old ferry went right across the bow of this old thing that I was assigned to. And what was designated as a Q ship. We were a decoy for Japanese submarines on the West Coast when the West Coast scare was on then. But it had no paint on it. It was just an old rust spot, and it was a 4-hole schooner made it into that Q ship. But anyhow, I was taking my folks across there, and my dad told my mother, they never told me, he said, "We'll never see that boy again." They said, "Well, I didn't think I'd see anybody either that looked at that old thing." In fact, I didn't think the Navy had a ship like that. I figured I'd be on a carrier or a battleship or a cruiser or a destroyer or anything but that. And then we took out for our duty out there halfway to Honolulu, going around in circles looking for submarines. Went over to Pearl Harbor then, after they finally released us from that duty, and they converted us into a cargo ship. And then from there they loaded us up with 1,000-pound and 2,000-pound bombs. We were going to Tarawa. That was one of the first atolls that we had taken. We were still fighting there. Yeah, at Tarawa there, we landed there, and the base was not secure by any means. When we finally make a beachhead there, the Marines, they lost eight divisions of their people making a beachhead there. They let them out at low tide, and the whole shoreline was lined with machine guns. They just mowed them all down. 8 waves before they began to make a beachhead. I made myself mail orderly so I could get ashore. Naval personnel weren't allowed ashore until the bases were secured. So I made myself a mail orderly so I could get off of that thing. And I was just picking up souvenirs or anything that I could. Jap's laying all over the place yet, and this Jap laying there. I got his helmet there with a shrapnel hole in it, and I got his bayonet too. It was a different world altogether. Well, I had a lot of rifles stuck down the ground with the guys' helmets on them too. They buried them a little bit, you know, so they'd know who they were, dig them up if they ever wanted to, and bury them properly. It was a mighty bloody place. Talk about other places. At Saipan, I woke up in my bunk one morning there, and the place was being bombed. The whole place is bomb, 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 and everything. Oh my gosh, I slept through general quarters. But I went tearing up on the bridge. I put on my phones, battery one, manned and ready. Funny guy, this is number 120 millimeter. I said, hey, I see a Japanese Betty coming in strafing. He just coming in, water level about, strafing with his machine gun, you know. How about permission to fire? You don't do anything in the Navy without permission, you know. Well, I said, I had nobody here. If you want to fire, go ahead and fire. So he did. The tracers going right into the cabin of that Japanese Betty bomber. And he fell in the water. Got him. Non-regulation. Oh boy, we were non-regulation if there ever was a non-Navy regulated ship. I ran around in cut-off jeans, no shirt, no cap, no socks half the time. After the Germany surrendered, we thought we were getting ready to go to Japan, you know. So we came back to Pearl Harbor, and we thought we were going to come home anyhow for a while to get a little. We hadn't been back to the States for 3 years. We got to Alaska, and they sent us up to the Aleutian Islands. What for to this day, I don't know. I got out in 46. I went in 42 and got about just short a month or two for 4 years. They sent me from San Francisco to Norman, Oklahoma for discharge. We rode the Rock Island Rocket from there to Kansas City. And my folks were at the station to meet me, and I talked to them, of course, told them I'd be in on certain training. So I was home. We go around and visit these middle schools too, talking to them about World War II. And that's what they want to know. Did you enjoy it? Well, no, we didn't enjoy it, but it was the thing to do. That's the reason we joined. That's the reason I joined up, because everybody was going, you know, and I figured, why not me? I came back, and the government was paying for, you know, education. I said, well, I don't want to go back to work right away, so I went up to the College of Commerce. Business college. I didn't need it. I typed. I'd been typing and shorthanded and everything else, but just something to do, you know. My wife now was in some of my classes. And I said, well, can I take you out and buy you something to eat, take you home? Yeah. So like I say, that's when all my trouble started, 67 years ago. We were married in August of 47 at the Central Presbyterian Church over in Kansas City, Missouri, a big church. That's where she was a member. So we had an orchestra and everything. I put on a big show. And you couldn't find a place to rent or couldn't buy a house at that time, right after the war. And so my folks fixed us an apartment up above their home on Minnesota Avenue over there. And we lived there for, I guess, well, Tom was born there. 10 years maybe. Been here 50 years. This house was 5 years old when we bought it. Well, I went to work for the railroad in 1937. I just got out of high school. My dad was a conductor on the UP, And he came home one day and told me to go down to 12th and Liberty and see a guy down there at the railroad. What I want to see him for? Well, you got a job for you. So I did. I worked that summer, and I was with them until I went in the service, and then came back, and then 43 years later I retired. So instead of a summer, it lasted 43 years. We walk 6 days a week, and we leave here about 7:30 every morning. In fact, my neighbor said he set his clock by us leaving. And we go over to the Ward Parkway, and we go around twice. Well, we have quite a time. Well, we go somewhere. We go to movies, and we go out every Saturday night to Burger King, and then go to the show as a general rule. Yeah, no, we're proud that we were able to serve, and we were able to win the war, and thank goodness for Harry Truman. He dropped the atomic bomb and saved a bunch of our lives. We were getting ready, like I say, to go to Japan. If we'd had to have done that, we'd have lost a lot more men. And I'm thankful for that we didn't have to do that. They didn't want war either, and just those doggone powers that be that want to fight these wars. I think they're the ones that should fight. That's one reason we go around to the schools, us old guys, talking to these kids, trying to enlighten them, you know. I tell them all, I said, I hope you don't have to do it. But if it's necessary, that's the reason I went. Quite a life.